Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for March 31st. So, a couple things. Trump kind of got serious about the fact that this is serious, what the world is dealing with. And it makes me wonder how some Republicans in some states, particularly some of those governors, are actually going to be able to make that pivot now. But since their supporters tend to be quite used to and comfortable with the fact that they're constantly being lied to, I guess they'll make it somehow, right? Guess it won't matter ultimately because, you know, it struck me that, Republicans are very much like, and not all of them, okay, because there are some who have stayed Republican but absolutely understand what's going on and they take it seriously. There are some who have said this man is a lot of things, but a Republican he isn't, and have pulled back from the party. They've gone independent or whatever. So I'm not painting everybody with a broad brushstroke, but it really does strike me that they really are a group of people who want to be told what to do and how to do it. It's like they just willingly and without the slightest bit of concern just completely give up their own free will. They completely give up any idea of remaining in control of their own life experience. And for that, we really should all have a great deal of empathy and sympathy for them, because that's like kind of a hard way, I would think, to live your life. Although I guess to some degree it can't be that bad, right? Because you're not really aware of what the heck's going on around you. Okay. In any case, so the numbers are starting to get really real. They were talking a couple of weeks ago. I don't even know if it was that long ago. I had said that I was getting numbers of 1.5 million fatalities, and I was really hopeful that that was global. Although deep in my heart, to be really honest, I knew it wasn't. And so now the United States is saying, yeah, you know what, if we do absolutely everything flawlessly, we'll be lucky to get away with 200,000 fatalities. Well, guess what? This rollout to this thing has been so far from perfectly that there's not even, it just doesn't even qualify. And so seriously, now you're looking at some estimates are between 1.2 and 2.6 million fatalities in the United States. That is an absolutely terrifying number. But you know what I find more terrifying than that? Like, honestly, it really is a very small percentage, and I don't remember the exact calculation, but how many people then are going to get sick? Like, really, how many people are going to be sick? And how many people are going to be sick and require help or assistance? How many people are going to be sick and think they're not that sick and sort of attempt to kind of carry on? So that's a really, really scary number. So one can only hope that in the next little while, sort of the education gets on one page and everybody is reading the same book. Hopefully more and more people are going to sort of come to understand the significance of this and frankly, the scariness of it. And I don't mean to alarm anybody, but anybody who has been following my channel for, more than 3 days, knows that I tend to straight from the hip. I shoot from the hip, and I don't sugarcoat my words very well. I think that we're all intelligent, responsible adults, and we are in much, much better shape when we kind of face the truth, and that way we can plan for potential realities. So, because it is the last day of March, and what a heck of a month it has been. I don't know if it came in like a lamb or a lion where you were, but I can tell you globally, it is going out like a lion, really loud lion, like a big roaring lion, kind of like that. What was that? MGM lion, that guy. Okay. So I thought this would be a really good time to take a good look at what April holds. This focus, of course, is going to be on the United States, but of course, if any other global information or information comes in on this reading about other countries or areas of the world, I will not ignore it. Okay, so here we go. But we're going to focus on the United States. This is the thing, it doesn't even matter anymore how this thing shakes out or what happens. Not that it doesn't matter, of course it matters. But the reality is while Trump is never going to be blamed for the virus, he is absolutely going to be the owner of the rollout, the federal rollout, in terms of this situation and how he didn't handle it very well. Okay, so come on down. I have a question. Here we go. So let's kind of do a broad sweeping. Tell me about April. Tell me about April. Tell me about April. So I have to tell you, this is one of the, I think, only times possibly in all of the 4 decades plus that I have been reading energy and reading cards, that seeing the Empress has actually made me sad, like really sad. Because in this environment, in this situation, the last thing you want to see is bountiful growth. You don't want to see new beginnings because that translates to fresh outbreaks. You don't want to see these blowing wheat fields because that talks about the volume and the multitude. So I guess this is in many ways a real heads up that things are going to get better before they, or get worse before they get better. And people have been saying that I've been saying it for several weeks now. But I want to say, kind of brace yourself, because we are now just entering that part of it's going to get worse. And I don't believe that April's going to be the worst of it. Pretty much all countries globally are doing their level best to get on track, to get themselves out of this predicament, do the clamp downs, do whatever needs to be done in order to steer their country and their people into a safer territory. But it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be quick. And day by day, more and more truths are going to come out, especially in the United States, especially in terms of how this situation has been handled by the Trump administration. And it's going to get really bad because this sort of partisan nonsense that's going on, this sort of, I will bequeath you things based upon the amount of love you show me. Grow up, Trump. You are not a 6-month-old baby that just needs constant reassurance. This is absolutely insanity what is going on, and what frankly is being reported, and nobody has the energy anymore to get indignant about because everybody's exhausted. But it's more and more of those kinds of shenanigans. I mean, apparently there was, and I don't know this for sure, but I did hear that there were a whole bunch of ventilators, or if not ventilators, medical equipment that was sent to California, basically, I guess, to send out the message, we're helping California. But the way I understand it is a significant amount of it was out of date or broken or damaged. So as more and more of that comes out and those numbers keep escalating, and they are going to rapidly increase. And I hate to tell you this, but I actually see a time in the not very distant future where you are going to see those numbers kind of doubling not doubling, but increasing, I almost want to say by sort of 50%. Like it won't be long before there are 5,000 deaths a day. It won't be long before there's 10,000 deaths a day. And I don't mean to scare you guys, but again, it's time to face, some kind of harsh truths, because if you do that, then at least we can move forward together and united and with confidence, and we can do what we need to do to keep ourselves and our families as protected and safe as we possibly can. So more is going to come out, and it's really going to set in stone the legacy that the Trump name is going to carry forward. And, I'm a card reader. I'm an energy reader. I can tell you what is going energetically as best as I see it in any moment given in space of time. But I got to tell you that I cannot actually see a way for Trump to even entertain the notion of being reelected. In terms of this pandemic and the date of the election, there's not enough space. There's not enough time for this to, kind of get brushed under the rug, because people are going to be dealing with the ramifications of this for a really long time to come, many months to come. And because he did such a terrible job from the get-go, he pays the price for that ultimately, right? Because had he done what he should have done, had he done what China and other countries were begging globally for countries to do, follow our example. Had he done that, it's very possible that he actually might have been able to tamp this thing down enough by sort of late summer, so that going forward towards October, November, people kind of, had put it a little bit to the side. But he didn't do that. He lost an incredible amount of time. A month is a huge amount of time, and he lost it, and that is just tragic, frankly, because he's not going to be able to recover that now, and it's going to become a real problem for him. It really is. Don't be surprised. In fact, hang on here. I'll be right back. So Tika would like to apologize for the interruption, but she says, I'm kind of an old dog, and the great outdoors were calling me. So I'd be very sorry. Go get your treat. Go on. Sorry about that, people. Come on back down. Okay, so, yeah. So don't be surprised in, the coming month. It's not like Trump has sort of taken some magic pill and the dysfunctionality of his personality is just going to vanish now, because, on 1 or 2 days, maybe even in a row, he actually figured out this was serious, okay? The shenanigans are going to continue. The stupid things are going to continue to come out of his mouth. And really, expect him to continue to deny the truth. Because he has that really interesting way of spreading the blame. And he wants everything to be soft-souled, right? So, the doctors are out there saying this is going to be really bad. These numbers are scary. And, don't be surprised when Trump starts saying, well, those are really worst case scenarios. They're not worst case scenarios. They are the most likely numbers. But you can see how he's going to start to twist and manipulate information and his response to, again, it's like he keeps, honestly, it's like he keeps inviting everybody in to join him in the kaleidoscope bubble in which he resides. And he just doesn't understand that by and large, most people actually really enjoy living in reality. So continue that. And this is the other thing that Trump does. When things get bad in the news, he just says really stupid and outlandish and outrageous things so that it distracts for a little bit. And honestly, I wish the media would stop jumping to every shiny ball. It is incredibly annoying. I mean, he says something stupid, and people are oohing and awing and fussing over it and panicking over it or applauding him for a day or two. And then what has happened is you haven't paid attention to what was going on in that day or two. And that is the game he plays. So continue to anticipate this sort of real craziness coming out of him, because honestly, that's all he knows. He doesn't know any better. It's the only thing he understands. Okay. The White House is going to continue to deal with, and the administration, okay, and your president guy, are going to continue to deal with the fact that what is needed, what is required, is more money, more understanding and compassion. That's what I'm getting from the two queens here. It's not women in this case. It is the elements of the divine, the female divine. And so it's that caring, that nurturing, that compassion, that gentleness. Those are going to be the two things that the country is going to need and require in order to be able to kind of hold itself together. And of course, we all understand that that is absolutely not his strength. And because it's not his strength, really, it's not anybody's strength. Because even if to some degree, maybe they have that capacity, he is really pushing back against that kind of message going out, because of course he sees it as weak. And more you're going to see erratic behavior. You're going to see that sort of overstimulated persona on display, and that's dangerous, right? Because as more and more of that gets exposed, he's going to be judged. And of course, the more he's judged, the more he indulges, the more the behavior becomes erratic and is exposed, the more he feels judged, judges, exposed, judged, danger, right? You get it, right? It's a cycle with him. And we are entering into a period of time that literally, as your country goes through these real bumps, he's just going to be ill-equipped. You can, however, expect that some of the media are really, really going to slow down the amount of information that is being broadcast on those daily press briefings, because a vast percentage of, the country, and I think honestly by extension the world, is getting really tired of him monopolizing the airwaves for an hour and a half and spewing nonsense. So there's that. And you know what? I'm Canadian, right? And I get really annoyed when I turn on my Canadian news channels and I have to listen to the same nonsense that is being broadcast on your US channels when it comes to Trump. It's incredibly aggravating because it's crap, right? It's just crap what's coming out of his mouth, and everybody needs to pull back and I know a lot of you have already stopped watching them. But more needs to be done, okay? And everybody has to stop like overreacting and carrying on. Like every time he says something stupid, he either one knows what he's talking about, or two is actually going to do it. I mean, who thought that he was going to actually try to reopen the country by Easter? But it is a week later and people are still yakking about it. Come on, people. They need to stop this. The media needs to stop it. It's adding fuel to a fire that frankly is already kind of raging out of control. So he's going to keep trying to get out there and make himself really important, and hearts are going to be breaking the world over, and he's going to continue to say, I don't take any responsibility. And there you have. So as this thing ramps up through April, you are going to see him taking less responsibility and trying to boost his ego even more, which I know in this moment seems almost impossible, but trust me, there is no bottom. So, as a country, there's a lot of work to do. There's so much work to do. And people are trying. Okay, you're going to see some real heroes in the government, be that, local governments, state or province or county governments, country governments, but it's going to take a great deal of work. Honestly, I don't think that anybody has truly wrapped their heads around the magnitude of what it is that we're dealing with, because it's almost not within our comprehension to start thinking about the kinds of numbers that we're going to be hearing and frankly experiencing. There's going to be so many people getting sick in the next 4 weeks and beyond that, okay? But the next 4 weeks are going to be particularly difficult, mostly because it's going to become really real, really fast. And there's going to be a lot of questioning about why things weren't done more quickly, more expediently, more safely, why people took so long to respond and react when they knew that this was not going to bode well. Okay, now, the High Priestess here is telling us a slightly different story. And of course she is. Look at this. So she is talking about the fact that this really is the reset. It is that opportunity to take a really good look at our lives, at what we value, at where our priorities are, as where our strengths are as an individual, as a family, a community, and, bigger and bigger circles from that. What we stand for as a state, a province, what we stand for as a country. Coming to understand exactly what it is that we focus on, what we think is important, what we believe is vital, becomes our strength, because that is what allows countries to evaluate, build a firmer foundation, and create sort of a new place and state of being. So some of these thought processes, some of these conversations that you're going to need to have with yourself and or others are going to be a little bit difficult, because, nobody likes to look at their life and think, about the excess and where resources, time, energy were wasted or lost. where our focus was on that which was other than what was for our highest good. But the promise, my God, people, the promise shines bright. Don't lose hope. Don't get discouraged, because there is every reason to believe that we will survive this. We are going to get through it. We are all going to experience loss. The vast majority of us are going to get sick at some point or another. But we hope, we promise, we pray, we stay centered and focused. We stand in the light. We stand in positivity. And being positive about something does not mean that you are ignoring the truth. What it means is you look at the truth, you see the reality, and you understand where you seek. It's not even that you understand, it's like you seek to find the bright spots, the blessings, the rainbows, the shining stars. And you will. The containment, the social distancing, all of that kind of stuff, anticipate it going on for slightly longer than I know Trump has now managed to get it in his head that this thing should at least be extended 2 weeks past his fantasy Easter date to the end of April. Realistically, you're looking more into May and possibly all the way to the end of May. He, of course, is not going to want to give you that message, but that's okay. And frankly, none of us want to hear that message, right? I mean, who on earth wants to think, oh my God, we're going to be trapped like this for another 4, 6, 8 weeks? But I'm sorry, that's what it looks like. For the time being, I don't want you to start panicking and thinking that riots are going to break out and there's going to be fighting in the streets and that the world is not going to hell in a handbasket, okay? It is getting right shook up because it was time for it to be shook up. And for those of you who have not heard me say this before, if you spell devil backwards, you get L-I-V-E-D, lived. We were living backwards, and that became the devil. And this is our opportunity to evaluate, to talk about, to bicker and argue, sure. But eventually from that comes that balance, comes an understanding of really what's important. Because you know what? Too many people lost sight of the fact that it was the love, it was the emotions, and it was the unity. It was the group work. It was the coming together. That was really what was most important. And when we understand that, our fortunes change. We get a reprieve. The reset will work. And we're never going to be who we are on this day ever again. But we're going to be better. We're going to be more authentic. We're going to be more aware and grateful to count all of our blessings. And when that happens, things are going to change for the better much, much more quickly because we have learned one of the secrets to actually living and surviving here on the planet Earth. Okay, big breath, because that was like really a lot. I hope it does 2 things. I hope that it brings you clarity, and even perhaps in areas where we really don't want to see that clearly because it's tough to see it. And also, it brings you some comfort and some clarity and some calmness because, as I said a bunch of minutes ago, um, we're all adults. And when we know the reality that we're dealing with, when we're standing in that actual reality, we have a much, much better chance of harnessing it and moving forward into a brighter space. So once again, I thank you very, very much for joining me here at Soulprint. For those of you who have not checked out the Soulprint Insights channel, I really encourage you to do so, especially any of you out there who watch this channel and think, oh, I really like listening to that because, she calms me down and I feel so much better. Trust me, the Insights channel is that on steroids, okay? So I really encourage you to check out that channel. And the nice thing about the Insights channel is you can, watch a couple videos today that are really current. You can go all the way back to the beginning, although honestly, the beginning was in January, okay? But you can go that far back and they're still valid, they're still current, they're still incredibly meaningful because they are about a soul's evolution and our evolution as a community. For any of those of you who are interested, I am booking private readings now from the middle of April, so that's not too long a wait. And if you're interested in that, check the box below. And until next time, take care, stay well, wash your hands. I'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.